Hello everyone, you're on the channel Who Created It and How. Today we're diving into the enchanting world of one of humanity's oldest musical instruments, the flute. Who invented this magical instrument that can mimic the songs of birds and stir the deepest emotions in our hearts? The answer isn't a single person or a specific date, but a fascinating journey that spans tens of thousands of years and crosses multiple continents. Let's travel back in time, way back to the Stone Age. Imagine early humans living in caves surrounded by the raw sounds of nature. What did they have? They had bones, lots of them, from the animals they hunted. Archaeologists have found incredible artifacts that point to the very first flutes. One of the most famous examples is the Neanderthal flute, discovered in the Divje Babe cave in Slovenia. This piece of a young cave bear's femur, dated to be around 60,000 years old, has holes that some researchers believe were deliberately carved by Neanderthals. While there's still some debate about whether these holes were man-made or the result of an animal bite, the possibility is thrilling. It suggests that our ancient cousins might have been making music long before we thought, but the evidence gets much clearer as we move forward in time. In caves in southern Germany, archaeologists have unearthed several flutes made from bird bones and mammoth ivory. These instruments are stunningly well preserved and are confidently dated to be between 40,000 and 43,000 years old. The most famous of these is the Hohlfels flute, crafted from the wing bone of a griffon vulture. It has 5 finger holes and a V-shaped notch at one end to blow into. Imagine the skill it took for our Homo sapiens ancestors to carve such a delicate and precise instrument using only stone tools. These weren't just random whistles. They were sophisticated musical tools capable of playing different notes and melodies. They proved that music was an integral part of early human culture, perhaps used in rituals, storytelling, or simply for communal joy. So, while we can't point to a single inventor named Ugg or Og, we can see the invention of the flute as a collective human innovation. It wasn't invented once. It was likely reinvented many times in different parts of the world, using whatever materials were available. Early civilizations everywhere seemed to develop their own versions. In ancient China, around 9,000 years ago, people were crafting flutes from the wing bones of the red-crowned crane. These flutes, found at Jiahu, are playable even today and can produce a surprisingly accurate musical scale. In ancient Egypt, we see depictions of long, end-blown flutes on tomb walls dating back thousands of years. The ancient Greeks and Romans had their own versions, like the aulos and the syrinx or panpipes, which were bundles of reeds of different lengths. Each culture put its own spin on the basic concept, a tube with holes that produces sound when you blow across an edge. Now, let's fast forward a bit. The flute we're most familiar with today, the shiny silver instrument you see in orchestras, is a much more recent development. This is the transverse flute, also known as the side-blown flute. While side-blown flutes existed in various forms in Asia, particularly China and India, for centuries, the journey into European classical music is a story of constant evolution. During the Middle Ages and Renaissance, the transverse flute was a simple wooden tube with finger holes. It was known for its sweet, gentle tone, but was difficult to play in tune and wasn't as loud or versatile as other instruments. It was often used in military bands and folk music. The real transformation began in the Baroque period, around the late 17th century. This is where we can start naming some names. The Hotteterre family, a famous dynasty of French woodwind makers and musicians, is credited with making significant improvements. They redesigned the flute, making it in 3 or 4 sections or joints, which allowed for more precise tuning. They also changed the internal shape of the tube, called the bore, from a simple cylinder to a cone, which gave it a more refined and expressive tone. Most importantly, they added a key, just one key. This single key, operated by the pinky finger, allowed players to play a note that was previously very awkward to produce, making the instrument more chromatic and versatile. This Baroque flute, typically made of wood, became a favorite of composers like Bach and Vivaldi. But the evolution didn't stop there. The flute was still a bit quiet and had intonation issues. Throughout the 18th and early 19th centuries, more keys were added by various makers to improve its range and tuning. The instrument became a patchwork of keys and levers, often looking quite complex. It was a time of intense experimentation, with every flute maker trying to create the perfect instrument. And that brings us to the man who truly revolutionized the flute and created the modern concert instrument we know and love, Theobald Boehm. Boehm was a brilliant German goldsmith, flutist, and inventor in the 19th century. He wasn't just a tinkerer, he was a scientist. He applied acoustic principles to completely redesign the instrument from the ground up. Around 1847 he unveiled his masterpiece. First he changed the material. He started making flutes out of metal, usually silver, which gave them a brighter, more powerful sound that could carry across a large concert hall. Second, he completely reconfigured the placement and size of the holes. Instead of putting the holes where the fingers could comfortably reach, he placed them in their acoustically ideal positions for the best possible tone and intonation. Of course, this meant that human fingers couldn't possibly cover all the holes. So Boehm developed an ingenious and complex system of keys, rings, and pads to cover them. This Boehm system is a marvel of mechanical engineering. It allows the player to close multiple distant holes with the press of a single key. He also reverted the bore back to a cylinder, which combined with the new key system and a redesigned head joint gave the flute its incredible agility, volume, and near-perfect tuning across its entire range. His design was so effective and so complete that it has remained the standard for the modern concert flute for over 170 years, with only minor modifications since. So, who invented the flute? Was it the Neanderthal who first blew across a hollow bone 60,000 years ago? Was it the early Homo sapiens who meticulously carved vulture wings in a German cave? Was it the Hotteterre family who gave it its first key? Or was it Theobald Boehm, the genius who applied science and mechanics to perfect it? The answer is all of them. The story of the flute is the story of human ingenuity itself. It's a tale of countless anonymous innovators and a few named geniuses, all building on the work of those who came before. From a simple bone whistle to a sophisticated silver instrument, the flute has been a constant companion on our human journey, giving voice to our sorrows, our joys, and our most profound creativity. What an incredible history, right? It really makes you appreciate the next time you hear the beautiful sound of a flute. What instrument's history should we explore next? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this journey through time, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next episode on who created it and how. See you next time.